Let me show you how I decorated this beautiful cake. Hello, you're welcome to my YouTube channel. I am Bakita and I make absolutely amazing cakes. So stay tuned, let's decorate this together. Now we're going to be making the rainbow used in this cake, and I have my fondant that I've colored in my preferred colors. This is a straw board. You can get it from any stationery or bookshop or hat shop, but we're going to be using this. We're going to be using this as a support for our rainbow so it doesn't spoil, it doesn't break during transportation. You want to add some shortening to your work table now. You're going to knead your fondant properly and start rolling it. Once you roll it out thinly, we are now going to start placing each one of them on the straw board. So what we're going to do is just roll this till it's quite thin, because once you roll it and it is quite thin, you make sure it's even on all sides. So you want to go on every side of the fondant strip and make sure it's very thin, it's the same thickness. And if it's not rolling properly, just apply some more shortening on your work table and you keep doing that till you get a very nice and thin fondant strip. And we're now going to, once that is done, we're going to measure it and place them on the straw board. You're going to see me do that shortly. So now I am still rolling and working on it, and I've gotten my desired length. I am now going to place it on the straw board and just use water to stick it on it. But right now I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to keep rolling different colors till I get all the colors I want and keep placing it on top of this. So if you have any excess, you can cut it off, but that's what I'm going to do for all the 6 colors I'll be working with. So you can keep watching to see me do that. We're just going to keep doing this to repeat the same thing I did in the first part. And here now I am working with my last color, so I'm just going to do the same thing, roll it till I have a very thin fondant. Once that is done, I am going to cut off the excesses and place them on top of our straw board. Once we do that, yes, I am now placing it on top of the straw board. Once that is done, I want to just arrange it properly. Then I am now going to have to do some work because we're not going to put this board on top of our cake like this. So you want to trace it out, measure it, and cut to this shape, cut it to this shape, and then we're now going to stick it on the board. Now we're going to have to cut our support into the shape of the rainbow. So you want to take out the last one, take a sharp object and trace it all around. You do the same for the lower part too. You will understand better by the time I'm done with this. So you trace it down, trace the other part too. Then we're now going to take off all our rainbows and then cut the support. The reason why I'm doing this is because of if you have your cakes going to a very long distance where they have to dry for over an hour, you want to be sure that the rainbow gets to the destination safely. So once I'm done with this, every one of our rainbows, our fondants will have to come out. Then I would now cut it into the shape I want. So you just gently move your fondant rainbows carefully, and now you go with a scissors and you cut this support, the straw board, into the shape of the rainbow. Once you're done with that, we'll go to the next stage. So I have now cut it to the preferred shape that I want, to the shape of the rainbow. I am now going to apply water and gently start placing it back one after the other. I'm going to place everything back one after the other and we'll continue from there. So after placing all our fondant rainbows back, you're going to go in with your smoother and just smoothing it properly, cut off any excess. And because if you look at it carefully, previously, you would notice that okay, we've covered the front, but the back is still going to be showing that there's a straw board in between. So we are now going to have to cover that, and to cover that, once you're done with this, you've smoothened it, you've allowed it to dry for about 30 minutes. We are now going to roll out another fondant to cover the back of the straw board. So that's what we'll be doing in the other part now. So you just roll out a thin strip of fondant really carefully, and once you're done rolling it, you carefully carry your rainbow and place it on top of it, and you're going to go in with your water and brush to glue it to the straw board. Once you're done with that, you go in with your craft knife and you trace and you cut it. So the reason why we're doing this, like I said before, is to cover the back of our straw board support. To roll it to the length and the breadth of the cake behind me. If you want to know how I ganached and layered my cake, please watch my previous video where I showed in details how we did that. Now I am trying to get out any air bubbles I might have in my fondant, because that would not make my cake look nice. And once I am done with that, I am going to smoothen the top of my fondant carefully to ensure that we have a clean and smooth fondant. You want to now cut this strip off, cut the sides because we have excess, so you don't waste your fondant. And once I'm done with that, I'll measure again so that I know that I have the same accurate measurements that I need, because I am going to be paneling. And when I am done with that, I am going to wrap this around my rolling pin. Once my fondant is all wrapped around my rolling pin, I'm going to roll the top of my cake too so that I can just cover all at once. And this is what I am doing here. Now it is time to cover our cake with the fondant, and I am paneling. I am now going to go around this cake with the fondant. I'm going to go around this carefully. You want to ensure that your fondant gets to the bottom of the cake. If you notice here, this was lifting, so I have to go back and correct it and ensure that it gets to the bottom, which I am doing here. So you use your smoother to smooth it and correct any error. Once I'm wrapped this all over the body of the cake, I'm going to show you how I seal it, how I seal up the back of my cake now. And you're just going to cut it properly. Try and make sure your hands are as straight as possible, and then you get out the excess. Go in with water to seal up your seam. You just apply a tiny bit of water there, and once that is done, we're going to close this up. Then you go in with your smoother and you just gently smoothing that area properly. Ensure that it closes the seam, and when we're done with this, we'll go over and start working on the top of our cake. Now it's time to cover the top of our cake, so we're going to take the fondant we rolled previously, place it on top, and for my paneling method, most times I do not flip my cake over. I am going to just ensure that this join together properly. Then I'll go in with this card. It's an FPP card, it's just a thick card. Then I start cutting and cutting till all the edges have been done. So once you're done going all around your cake, if you notice that there is any seam and it's not perfectly closed, you can go in with a thin layer of fondant and cover it and just cut that off, which I'll be doing in this part of the video. Watch and learn. So you apply a little layer of water, place the fondant on top of it, going with your smoother and smoothing it, and you just cut off the excess from the fondant edge. We are going to be transferring to the main board, which I am doing here. Once I have transferred it here, I am going to smoothen it again, make sure my cake looks good. I am a perfectionist. I love a very well decorated cake. So once this is done, you just go with your smoothie, smoothing it, make sure there is no seam showing below. Then I am going to now add the rainbow, add the other details to this cake, and here is the final result. Absolutely pretty. This was the rainbow we made earlier that I placed and inserted on top. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe to my channel.